I'd like to move on to quick introductions from our moderator, Amr Wahi, and then over to Carlos Teixeira before setting the scene with his presentation. So looking forward to an interactive discussion today. Please feel free to raise your hand using the raising hand reaction tool on your Zoom window. So you can do that very easily by raising your hand like that. Or you can unmute and physically raise your hand if you'd like to speak, or you can also drop us a note in the chat box if you'd like to ask a question passively. Now, this meeting is being recorded for everyone's benefit, but it's not going to be distributed to an outside audience. This is purely for your benefit. Everything that will be discussed here is your views and do not necessarily represent the views of your organization. And there are also no media or press present during this closed discussion. So with that, I'd like to now hand over to Amr Wahi for brief introductions and then over to Carlos Teixeira. Thank you so much and enjoy the discussion.
Thank you, Del, for that, and welcome all of you today. I am a general counsel and the FDI policy advisor with a demonstrated history of working in investment management industry. I have more than 20 years of extensive legal experience in corporates and have a fundamental understanding of global corporations and government issues. My cross-border legal and business experience has been recognized globally by the Legal 500 as one of the most influential 100 general counsel in the Middle East for helping drive business growth. For the next 10 minutes, Carlos Teixeira, the global industry principal at Finastra, with a prime focus on corporate banking, will bring more than 25 years of his experience and shared with us today about solutions, advice, and recommendations in transaction banking. Carlos, I believe that you have a presentation including the latest trend and the trade landscape in Kuwait. Please, go ahead.
Yes, I'll do, Amr, and thank you for the introduction. And what a pleasure to be here with some familiar faces. I do recollect connecting with few of yourselves previously in the past, and I remember spending some time with Mr. Fouad. Very nice to see you again during the ABK times and perspectives. So I do have a presentation. I'm going to share my screen. Please let me know when you are able to see my screen.
All good.
Fantastic, fantastic. So as already mentioned, so I am a global industry principal. I look after strategic initiatives within Finastra, and my background is full trade finance. So I joined trade finance as a banker, so back in 1997 in Portugal, where I'm originally from, and let's not talk about football today, please. So indeed, as we go around the world and I look to trends, more specifically around the Middle East, where I'm based for the last 16 years, based out of Dubai, it is important to look back, and especially in this area within trade finance, and understand the impact that COVID had, it still has, within the global trade volumes. And we could see, and this is based on the ICC data, it's interesting to see of how the global trends went down as expected within COVID, but more importantly, it's interesting to see how it is recovering. And as we look forward, and I think that's how we should look into everything, is to look forward to the future and look into the projected growth within 2028, there is an expected 21 to 24 trillion of trade finance being operated within the global area. So when we look to the way that is being recovering, it's quite significant growth within trade finance space. And more importantly, as in this case highlighted by ICC on their 2020 global survey, 65% of global banks expect trade finance to grow. And while we look to the full or global view, it's also important to look to the market trends within where we are. And in here, I'm just going to focus on the right side of the screen. It's very busy, but it's important to see the growth from 2020 and the expectation now 2021, 22, with 18% of growth from goods being shipped around from GCC. So this is a World Trade data from that side. But more importantly, understand where are the priorities from a corporate perspective, where in 2020 they are focusing on account relationship management, so spending time with banks like yourselves and understanding of how they can enrich their portfolio. And as we progressed, and probably driven by the COVID or pandemic situation, we foresee an immense adoption from an online digital area. So this is really where we see the market moving and shifting. And I'm sure this is nothing new for us in here today. And if I would drill down into Kuwait specifically and looking forward to the next 4 years, one of the things that shows us is that 98% of the banks on their digitization towards 2025, they are looking to digitize or automate their processes, 98%. And at the same time, 96% are focusing on network capabilities. And we'll talk about that through the presentation of what we mean with this. And then, of course, a big array of them, so 97%, focusing on front-to-back support. And when we look to the global trends and we look now specifically within Kuwait or GCC, it's very interesting to see the alignment. We all went through the situation where we need to reach out to the clients. They were in lockdown, we were in lockdown, and the digital was the only way to keep on processing forward in order to process your transactions. And this is a true reflection of how COVID has enhanced or stepped forward the future of digital and transformation. And as I look into digital transformation, key drivers, first of them, cost, has always been in the top layer. Let's say we are all driven by cost. We want to be more efficient. We want to ensure that not only we can touch the client digitally, but more importantly, our operations are able to perform without human touch. Then, of course, the platforms, especially around trade finance, more and more, they are pivotal in terms of interaction of data. How can I service my client and leverage connectivity to service them or cross-sell them other products? Cross-sell, again, 47%, focusing on the digital transformation. And then, not surprisingly, 76% driven by risk and compliance reduction. A risk and compliance, something that we foresee growing by 20% year on year, and it's not getting easier. So that's why when we look to digitize, we're looking to automate this level of risk and compliance. And then as we look to the whole drivers and how we see the market moving, it's important as well to talk about technology. And we all have heard about open banking. Open banking, where we see a movement starting from Bahrain, but then very fast moving to UAE and to Kuwait, Egypt and Saudi Arabia, where they actually launched the FinTech Saudi recently. And an interesting shift from an open banking movement, making access to data easier, and at the same time, allowing banks to have a better, faster, or in this case, time to market from a cloud perspective. Opening the doors for cloud adoptions, where we now see a massive shift led by the digitization, led by the transformation that banks are going through in order to service their clients or to touch their clients in a better way, but at the same time to highlight or to enable them with a fast return of investment, with a reduction in terms of payback time and cost savings in terms of efficiency. All of these providing a full digital platform from a front to back perspective, like in here we can see on the left side, digital footprint to your customer, on the right side, the operations, but more importantly, a platform that is able to connect with the wider world, a platform that is able to connect with other ecosystems, with other networks in order for you to enrich your workflow in order for you to leverage data and automate your processes. And that's really where we at Finastra be focusing for the last 3-4 years around Fusion Fabric.Cloud. Fusion Fabric.Cloud that is focusing on providing the right data at the right time for you to make the right decision, allowing you to have actually access to interchangeable data in order for you to automate, to digitize, and sometimes even to do full screening around your data. And if I would zoom into the likes of, for example, one of our fintech partners, Compend, and looking into the current reality, and if I go today to a bank, the workflow would be pretty much this. I would receive my transaction, I would do my input, I will check my compliance, then I would probably review, and definitely I would authorize. This is a standard workflow within the banking industry. By leveraging Fusion Fabric.Cloud and the likes of Compend, just one example, we are actually able to automate the input and the compliance by leveraging immediately from the reception, automating with OCR, machine learning, so with all artificial intelligence to make sure that the algorithm is learning as it progresses, but more importantly, to automate all that processes to the point that it gives it back to the review. And these are areas that we see in some of our customers, and reduction within 70% of their workflow. And now, as I mentioned in the beginning, this is all about the future. And we at Finastra believe that the future is around collaboration. We really believe that we need to leverage what is happening within the wider ecosystem in order to be able to provide you with access to real time at a given workflow, allowing you to, as I said, to make the right decision because you have access to the right data, and more importantly, allowing you to automate your workflow. So this was just a brief introduction in terms of what we see in the market and the trends that we see